Can you tell me about how the whole idea for the project kind of came to be?
My husband, Lawrence, directed and wrote the movie, and we love movies older movies like that are screwball comedies or mysteries, like The Thin Man, or movies from the 70s that are kind of zany, like What's Up, Doc? And we found ourselves watching a lot of movies like that, or Columbo, and we decided we really wanted to make a movie in that tradition.
And I know you guys have done quite a few movies together, so what was it about this one that made this the right time to go and do it?
We had never played a couple in a movie before, and I think we were ready to do that. And it was just sort of like the next idea we had after the last one, so we decided to make it.
Is that awkward at all? Are your characters in line with how you are in real life? And
yeah.
Really?
Yeah. They're like heightened versions of us and our conflict.
It's one thing to finish a script and say you're going to make a movie, but it's a completely different story to actually go and do it. So is there any point in the development process that you got a certain something and you're like, this is really going to happen now?
Yeah, when we had finished editing it is when I finally felt like it was real. Yeah, I mean, Lawrence worked for a while on the script, and it took us a little bit of time to get the movie together and to finally, so when we were finally making it, it was really exciting and an emotional time. Lots of ups and downs. But it was really fun.
Were there any particular production challenges that really took you both like off guard and surprised you?
No, I mean, the snacks. The snacks were kind of good. Well, we were like in Brooklyn, so it was great. You just like walked to any good spot. Did we ever lose a location? I thought we did one day, maybe not.
We weren't allowed to shoot in the room that we had gone to block.
Yes.
In that house. We had to switch it to another room.
Right.
That was weird.
That was weird. That was as bad as it got. You always had a pretty good flow for such a low budget film like that.
Yeah, I thought so too. Good producing, I guess.
Yeah.
You produced this, right?
Yes.
How was it breaking down? I'm not sure what kind of budget you were working with, but I imagine it was minimal. How was it breaking down that and trying to figure out, which elements of the production needed the most attention in that respect?
Well, this was actually the first time where we came up with a story before we had, like in the past, we made movies based on how much money we had available to us. We're like, so we have this amount of money, let's see what kind of story we can tell. This time Lawrence went and wrote a script, and then I read it and broke it down and made a budget for it, and we figured out how much money we needed and raised that. So, I don't remember what the question was. But I feel like that's different than figuring out what to cut corners from. You know what I mean? We figured out how much we needed, and that's what our jumping off point was.
How was the process of raising money? Because that is kind of notoriously one of the hardest parts of this whole thing.
It was difficult. Actually, I think it was the hardest part of it was just getting up the courage to ask people for money. It's not I don't think people talk about that part, how it's emotionally taxing to just constantly be selling yourself and being like, hey, believe in me, believe in my vision and what I want to say about the world and all the people who are doing it with me. But and another thing that we made sure to do is that the people we approached a lot of different people for money, and certain people were interested in giving us money, but they wanted us they didn't want us to be in it, or that was a big thing, is whether or not Larry and I should be in it. And
why wouldn't they want you to be in it?
I guess they were just you're not going to be able to raise the amount of money you need if you guys are the leads, was the traditional thinking, and we were just yes, we can. And and so we're a little bit picky about who we took money from, of the people who were interested, because we wanted to make sure
people allowed you to do what
people allowed us to do what we wanted, because that was a thing of our other movies where we were able to really have freedom to figure out how to work and what to say and what to do, and have final cut and things like that.
And now, how did you come into the picture? Do you two know each other before having done this together?
No, we did not. We met because I got the script and I really liked it, and then I Skyped with Lawrence, and it went really well. I guess I was having a cigarette during it, I don't know. But it went, really well. We just kind of connected. We were on a very similar page. I said it reminded me of the Thin Man series, which is what they were very influenced by, and it's, I'm a big fan of those kinds of films. And I really liked the part of Jean, and she seemed sassy and cool. Not too sassy, not too cool. And then we met, we all had lunch in Brooklyn, and we all just hit it off really well. I felt like we had known each other forever, and it was a really great spring. It was spring, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a great spring.
It was April and it didn't rain once.
Mm-hmm.
How was it in terms of building the chemistry? Did you guys have any rehearsal time to make that happen, or did you just have to hit the set and get going?
No, I think we tried. we kind of started shooting pretty soon, but we tried to like hang out a couple times before, right?
Mhm.
Which we did.
We hung out a couple times before, and then Larry did in the first couple of days. I feel like he did those like warm-ups with us.
Yeah, it was like a couple
hippie
big
warm-ups.
scenes, right? Yeah.
What do
I
the
think-
warm-ups entail?
Just like walking towards each other.
Right, I forgot we did those.
And like
Totally.
hugging each other for a really long time.
Yeah.
Which actually really
Maybe
helps.
it did help, yeah, because they're like, and like touching, did we do the face one? Maybe that's another film I did where it's like you touch someone's face because like no one gets in your face. So it's like weird. I wouldn't touch your face.
That sounds so incredibly awkward. I'm
Yeah,
glad I'm not an actor.
But it was, I think, at least for me, depending on the relationship and dynamic in a film, it's like you pretty much just have to try and get comfortable with the person. Like spend as much time as you can, especially because we're playing roommates and we're close. And but again, we were lucky. Like we hit it off pretty well, and we're really good friends now.
How's the environment on set? Because, you know, I imagine you don't have too many days to film this, so is it kind of like all business all the time?
We moved fast, but it never felt stressful. I never felt stressed.
You didn't?
No.
Good.
You probably were because you had to handle a lot more, and I was like, I'm gonna go have a cigarette.
We had to shoot a lot, but yeah, I never felt like we didn't. There was only one day where I felt like we didn't get the scene that we needed to get. We were too rushed. It wasn't one with you.
Oh, okay.
Which scene was that?
I'm not gonna say.
Well, I can't pick it out, so that's probably a good sign. And how was it moving all about New York and all those locations? Because I can't even imagine how much time it must take to switch like that.
Yeah, there was like one really tough day where we shot the scene in the office, and then we had to drive all the way to Staten Island and shoot all the night stuff in
Yes, I
Staten
remember.
Island. But the camera truck battery died at your office,
Oh,
so
no.
everyone was really behind, and then that was like a terrible rush, and then that was like a crazy 18-hour day.
And like getting that train shot, you guys got it, but that was like a crazy thing. It was like all timing because they didn't have like
We
control
had
over the
60
train.
seconds to get that train shot, otherwise
Yeah.
we were gonna have to wait an hour.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Were there
Really
any
well done.
rules to things like that? And like
We snuck that shot. But we had permits for everything else. That was the only thing we didn't have a permit for.
is there any tough part with all of the logistical paperwork type stuff that really threw you for a loop?
Again, like because this was a bigger movie than our last movies, I had a really great team, like an office. We had an office with people working, and so they took care of all of that. I really didn't have to think about that at all.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And how is it working with your husband? Because I just imagine, I don't know, working with family, that would probably throw me off quite a bit. Do you guys ever, I don't know, like bicker while you're on set or
Yes.
anything like that?
Definitely, but in this case, like we also bickered in the movie, so a lot of times it was like bleed over, and I feel like it helped some of the scenes.
Yeah. You guys are very direct with each other too. It's like you would never. I find it more awkward if you're around a couple and you can tell they're pissed at each other, but like can't talk about it, and then they're like passively being like, "Well, if you want the toast, have the toast." It's like that's where everyone's like, "Is everything okay?" But with you guys, you'd be like very clear and kind of talk things out, and you were never very argumentative. Like you'd just be very like honest with each other, and it set a very good tone. And I feel like I have a relationship with you each separately and together, which I think everybody did on the set, which helps a lot too. So it didn't feel like a threatening team or whatever. You know?
Oh, cool.
How is he as an actor's director? I mean, does he even approach you differently than he might you?
Maybe. You give me
I
back
think-
massages, do you? Just kidding.
I think I approach his direction differently. Like I'm more defensive.
Right, which makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Okay. I think he was a great actor's director, if you will. He always knew what he wanted, was complimentary but like clear, and then always gave us room to do kind of whatever we wanted at the same time. But like knew what he wanted. So yeah, I think he was great.
Was it ever tough to nail the tone of this? Because so much of this movie came together, you know, when you see it cut together properly with that music, is it hard to kind of get yourself in that headspace and feel what it's supposed to be like?
I'm gonna speak for you because
Do
I
it.
watched all the takes.
Okay.
Never for her. Like she nailed every scene, the tone of that scene that's in the movie. Like there were so many takes to pick from for her. But for me, like I feel like there was like I just didn't like. Larry would keep giving me this note like, make your eyes wider. Like you're supposed to be really scared, and I just like didn't get it. I'm like, no, I'm supposed to be like really natural. What are you talking about? Like, I'm supposed to be really natural on screen, and like, yeah, it was. I don't know how you felt on the inside, but watching it, I was just like, she knew exactly what he was going for. Like,
That's how I felt on the inside. It's a kind of like a hard tone, but I think the tone of the film plays to that. It's like there's very natural moments and connections between people, and then all of a sudden this like heightened reality, which kind of makes it like silly and fun. But yeah, I don't know. I think Larry had a good way of directing like the energy that we needed for particular things. But especially for you, you had to do a lot more like I don't know,
Whoa.
more like animated stuff, which you did so beautifully.
How is it being an independent filmmaker in New York versus LA? Because you're based here, right?
Here is
As in not Austin, as in New York.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm home.
Yeah, I'm based here.
Is it difficult, would you say, to get an independent project off the ground in New York versus LA?
I've never tried to do it in LA. What do you think? You've had more experience doing both.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done a full-length film before. I think there seems to be definitely a community in New York because I've spent a lot of time there, that I know of that are making a lot of independent films. People are doing it in LA, but I feel like they're more tempted and they get kind of distracted by the hopes of it getting to be something really big, because like literally the room next door, there's like a huge movie getting made, so people are like, but if I got this actor, if I pitched to that studio, cut to like 2 years later and the film's like gone or whatever. So I don't know, there's something that seems a little bit more like in New York that people are just like, let's just do it. And I think also New York, because you could shoot just like on the street, like anywhere, and the people that you could see, it's so much of a character itself, whereas like LA, if you want to shoot somewhere, it's a little bit more of like a thing maybe. Even though there's like really cool locations in LA, I just feel like something about New York, you could shoot a whole film with just like a guy smoking a cigarette walking down the street, and that's like visually stimulating, and you could have a whole imagination with it, Whereas in LA, it's a little more specific. But LA is like Hollywood, so it's naturally a different force that it's coming from. But I think you just gotta have the focus and like the want, and just like make it. And people are making stuff so much like cheaper and faster these days, and I think that's great.